how do you think Abhibus has helped you?
See, I think what I love about,
And how seriously do you think you take women safety on board?
see, this is something I keep stressing again and again and again.
We've kind of experienced this in the last few months. So, how do you ensure your drivers are sensitized about this?
Statistic that I used to quote at that point was,
If you have to describe future transportation in 3 words, how would you?
on one of the most beautiful roads of the country.
What if you have to tell our customers choose between EV or the regular buses? What do you think?
There are a lot of things that go into that decision.
If Earth had a mood right now, what do you think it would be?
I think Earth would be laughing at us.
One learning that you carry forward from your farming experience into your bus experience.
It's a lovely question. I think I should draw a very clear parallel.
A tech enthusiast, sustainable farmer, and a vision driven entrepreneur. ఇంజనీరింగ్ ఒక వరల్డ్, అగ్రికల్చర్ ఒక వరల్డ్, ఆంటర్ప్రినర్షిప్ అసలు టోటలీ వేరే వరల్డ్. ఈ మూడు వరల్డ్స్ని కలిపి ఉండే రేర్ మైండ్ అభినవ్ గంగుమల. హైబస్తో ఆయన మన బస్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఫ్యూచర్ని చేంజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. టుడే అభినవ్ ఈస్ హియర్ విత్ అభిబస్. వెల్కమ్ టు ద షో సార్.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Abhinav, civil engineering, 2 masters in transportation system in IIT Bombay, to farming, and then back to finding Hybus. How's been your journey?
So I think most often life comes back full circle. Uh, I've done my engineering like most other Telugu state students, had no option. Then went into IIT to specialize in a very niche field called intelligent transportation systems. So what we are taught there is how do you leverage systems or technology and data, travel demand modeling to make any transportation system more efficient or safe. So that's what I've mastered in. Then once I was into corporate, somehow I realized that I always had more entrepreneurial instincts, which is how I got into organic farming, organic retail, biodiverse forestry way back in 2010. Then I've had a successful run there, founded a nice company, then took an exit. So a very happy and peaceful life, got good name, made money. Uh, then again, I got back into transportation by getting back into bus industry almost few years back. Then the industry kind of excited me for two reasons. One, there's a lot of numbers here, and very few people approach this from a data analytics standpoint or a technology standpoint. It's mostly an operator game. So that is something that excited me. Then the second thing is, in my previous entrepreneurial stint, while we did something really great and good, it was not at scale. It was again a very niche business. So personally, for me, the Hybus journey was about, can I build something of scale? Could I do business? Already validated. Could I do it profitably? Already validated. But can I do at scale? This is not something I could prove in the first entrepreneurial journey. So I think that was the motivation. So it was the numbers, it was the scale and the massive opportunity in this business because it is very fragmented, which drove me to finding Hybus. And of course, some amazing people that I met in the process, who were the foundation to this co-founding team, is how Hybus started. Yeah, it's quite a transition, starting as an engineer, then a master's in transportation systems, and then farming comes out of nowhere. And finally, you come back to finding, co founding a bus company, Hybus. I think I've always had entrepreneurial instincts, which is how the farming journey started post my corporate work. And there I've learned the intricacies of business. But what brought me back or excites me in the typical bus space is the sheer size. We have around 1,80,000 buses plying on the Indian roads, out of which 25 to 30,000 are luxury buses, which are typical AC sleepers. Now, and the stunning fact is there is no single operator who has 1,000 plus buses in this space. So this industry is actually screaming at you saying consolidate. So how do we do that? If we can build in the right processes, you can get scale, you can consolidate, bring in best practices, and maybe leave a mark saying this is the best practice for this industry. So I think that's what excites us at the founding team level at Hybus. A huge opportunity waiting to be consolidated.
So, Abhinav, so far we have spoken from the driver's perspective. So, let me flip the question a little bit. Now, in case there's an agitated customer, how do you train your staff to handle this part of the situation?
We are a no nonsense operator. I won't promise the stars or the moon. Boss, I'll solve very simple problems for you. A clean loo when you take the mid break, a bus that doesn't smell, a bus that goes on time, a bus which has a working GPS. We don't want to do rocket science in this. It's a very, very simple industry. So, what does Hypers do? Hybus solves for the basic problems of an age old industry. That's what Hybus is all about.
Okay. And with this simple mode of operation, how do you plan to scale up?
The objective can be simplified to that extent. The nuts and bolts that go into achieving that objective is actually quite complex. So, for example, if I say I want the bus to run on time, that means my drivers should actually not do, say, unauthorized loading. Because every time you do an unauthorized loading, the bus is decelerating, stopping somewhere, the driver is scouting for passengers, making them board, then leaving. This takes 5 to 10 minutes. Now, if the driver is doing at least 3 unauthorized trips, I mean pit stops in the whole trip, that is going to be a half an hour delayed bus. It's very simple to say, no, I don't want unauthorized boarding to happen. But how do I do it? So that is where technology comes in. We have cameras equipped, we have automatic passenger counting cameras, which at any point of time of the journey gives me the delta between the number of people sitting in the bus as against the actual number of bookings that I have on that schedule. So we get an alert. So we leverage on technology to solve most of the problems in the background so that the basic performance metrics like on time performance, a neat bus, a safe bus are met by doing all the background work by leveraging on technology. That's how we plan to achieve it.
We're seeing of late there are a lot of concerns about safety in road travel, and we've kind of experienced this in the last few months. So, how do you ensure your drivers are sensitized about this?
So, in my previous corporate stint, I worked very closely in developing traffic management systems and safety systems essentially. And one staggering statistic that I used to quote at that point was every year on Indian roads, 150,000 people die. And I've had the privilege of designing some of the best control and command centers in the country. And every time we build a command center, there used to be like a 50 staff because it's a 24 by 7 operation looking at like few hundred screens. And whenever I used to do the inaugural of those centers, it would start with training. And I used to do one exercise with the people involved. I used to, and most of these people wouldn't know each other because it's their first or second day of job. So most people wouldn't know each other. It would be the first day or second day of their job. So what I used to do, make them do is, I used to make them sit in pairs and give them just 2 minutes and say, the first minute, the first person will talk to the other person about what is his life, what are his aims. The second person in the second minute will do the same thing. He will introduce himself and tell his aims. So within 2 minutes, these people exchange notes. And then I ask a very simple question. Just imagine that the person you just spoke to died. Suddenly, there's a silence in the room. I ask them, how do you feel? Then they say, I feel very bad because this person just told me that he wanted to get his kid, maybe he wanted to have his kids or marry his daughter. I mean, get the daughter married, right? Send the kid to school. And then suddenly, how can I imagine him to be dead? Then I tell them all these 150,000 people who are dying on Indian roads will have a similar story, a similar aspiration. It is just that you don't know. Because it is this person who sat and shared with you, you're able to relate to his trauma. Now, everybody has a story, everybody has trauma if they meet with an accident. The question is, can you prevent that accident? And that exercise is one of the most impactful exercises that I've done in the transportation space. And people even now come back to me and say, Sir, we remember that first training session that we had with you. And till date, we've always made sure we saved every life that is possible. For example, in the old space that I used to work, uh, there is something called as the golden hour. Within 1 hour of the accident, if the patient gets emergency care, the likelihood of survival is almost 50% higher. So, how do you train your people to relate to every other person that's on the road? If you look at them as a life as against a statistic in road accidents, you will not behave the way you behave otherwise, right? Every driver will be responsible before they take that drink of alcohol and then drive, right? They just have to have empathy. So I'll keep getting back to this at Hybus. I think a fundamental foundation for Hybus is empathy. We should have empathy towards our drivers. Drivers should have empathy towards customers. Drivers should have empathy towards everybody they see on the road. That is when we as a nation will build systems that are safer.
So, Abhinav, what do you think is the biggest misconception right now about public transport?
So I would answer this in twofold. One is, I think there's a lot of misconception about the concept of safety, especially from how an operator would look at it. And there's also misconception about pricing, especially during festivals and all. So I would want to clear both of these, taking this as an opportunity. First, safety. See, everybody, the moment they say bus, even my own father, if I tell him I'm taking a bus against a flight, he will say, is it safe? Right? But just flip it for a while and look at it from an operator perspective. See, I have a asset that is worth 80 lakh. It is fundamentally not in my interest to crash it from an operator perspective.
Right.
From a driver perspective, who has his own family and then doing this to feed his family, it is not his interest to crash the vehicle. So neither of the two stakeholders who are involved would love anything unfortunate to happen, right? There will always be accidents, some avoidable, some unavoidable. But fundamentally, both the operator as well as the driver would want to avoid. Nobody wants a mishap or an incident in their travels, right? Are we doing enough to avoid by doing preventive measures? Maybe we can improve, right? Can you do more driver training? Can you do more driver sensitization? See, a lot of times, for example, at Hybus, we never break the speed lock that the bus comes with. It comes with an 80 speed lock, right? And beyond 80, the risk increases disproportionately. So we never cross that. Can we avoid opening those locks, which is done by some people? Yes, we can. Totally avoidable, right? Similarly, can we provide, for example, all Hybus services, we have 2 drivers? Because the fatigue is real. I mean, if I have to cross Bangalore in an evening service, it takes 3 hours for the driver to just leave Majestic and reach, say, Kyarpuram. Now, that is a lot of hectic driving. So, we provide 2 drivers. Low fatigue means less likelihood of a mishap, right? So, the operator's interest is also aligned to avoid mishaps. But there will be accidents, which is precisely why it is called an accident. But we, as an operator, say Hybus, or for that matter, any operator, would never want an accident. It is not in their interest, right? So this is the first misconception. The second misconception is, so everybody say there's Diwali or Sankranti, they say bus fare is hiked to 5,000. Some people, they're brutal. We, I would say, are somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. We do hike. But what most people don't understand is, for example, let's take Sankranti. It's a 3-day festival. So 13th, 14th, 15th of January. Now people will start taking buses from 11th and 12th. And then they again travel from 16th and 17th.
Right.
Now if I take the period of 12th to 17th, which is a, say, 5-6 day period, if there was no festival, I'm probably doing a 75% occupancy at a X fare and I'm happy in life. What happens during Sankranti is there is very good 100% occupancy on the fringe dates, but the 3 days of the festival, I'm like literally zero occupancy. I know the pain when I run a service with 2 tickets.
But why should a customer pay for it?
The customer is paying because the system has to run. I have my leases to pay. I have my driver salaries to pay.
Yeah, but your 75% occupancy is already become 100% occupancy.
But 100,
And
the average
the
between
lean
100 and
period-
0 is 50. I need 75 to sustain.
And the lean period could have been accounted for in a different way or a different
Where
period.
there is no other
Why
way.
only those specific festival
There
dates?
is no other way. People wouldn't pay. Would you pay like a 20% extra on a normal day? You wouldn't.
Jack it up throughout the year.
Not
let,
possible.
Let that
Boss,
be
it's-
the average pricing.
This is a wafer thin margin business with no no brand loyalty whatsoever. And thanks because of Abhibus. I mean, you can scroll 100 operators. जहाँ पे भी 10 रुपए कम है, I'll go there.
See, our job is to provide as many options
Exactly.
as possible.
So it's a very good, fair system and a transparent system. But I think what people should realize is operators don't make a lot of money. I mean, if I were to in my life decide
But
on
what
career.
if you were to give that message to the customers that, guys, this is fair?
So what I can certainly tell with hand on my heart at Hybus is we are not exorbitant. We always make sure that we do hike, but not crazy prices. Never in our lives we've sold like a 3,000, 3,500 rupee ticket. Never.
Okay.
I'm sure we won't.
So, Abhinav, most of the buses that we generally see have either Nagaland registration or something in the Northeast. Why do you think the state registration is missing?
I'm very glad you asked this, and I'm very proud to say that at Hybus, all our buses are registered in the states where we operate. Now, I'm not taking a high seat saying that. I'll try to be a little constructive here. Let us not get into why is it. There are 1,000 reasons why they are doing what they are doing. A positive way of looking at it is, can the government do something in the support of the bus operator so that they don't consider doing that? There must be some strong reason why an operator is doing what they're doing. And I'm certain that the government also knows this, right? Can we improve our processes a little better from the government side that people will think, okay, it is equally easier to register here or it is equally financially beneficial to register here? There should always, we should never put people in right or wrong bucket. Most often it doesn't solve the problem. I know a lot of operators borrow money. They want to save every rupee. And these are not like very rich operators also. A lot of operators have 2 buses, 4 buses. For them, every rupee matters, right? So they will take shortcuts if the system is enabling them. Now, can the same system make it easier for them?
Okay.
So that people register then we'll become prosperous. Whichever state is operating most buses will become prosperous because it is getting the state tax. Now, recently there has been problem with AITP. AITP is a lovely scheme because you're paying the mother tax registration and then you're going wherever you want,
Right.
without disturbance. Can the government streamline that process? So there is absolutely no point in taking a negative note saying he's doing wrong, I'm doing right. Can we represent to the government and say, this is what a prospective operator is saving if he's going to Arunachal or Nagaland? Leave the ethics and merits of it aside. That is the deal there. We want more operators to be operating with state registrations, local state registration. Can we make the offer a little sweeter?
Got it. Well said, I think. I have another question for you. How do you think the technology can improve better to help you build the business better?
So I'll take a little controversial take here. We're all talking about AI, this camera, that camera. Boss, we have much fundamental problems to solve in this industry. Does your bus leave on time? Does your bus stop at a point where your mother or sister can go to a washroom in a dignified way, where there is running water? Does your bus have a clean blanket? Does your driver keep spitting pan masala? None of this can be solved by technology. I think we have to reflect as an industry that these are our fundamental problems. Yes, technology will play a role, but it is much later. This is like you trying to form sentences before you learnt words. So let's fix the basics first. Obvious technology has its space, but I think let's solve the fundamentals. At least that's what we want to work towards to begin with.
So, Abhinav, do you think India is ready for sustainable mobility?
When it comes to anything good in life, we will never be ready fully. We'll have to take a leap of faith, start somewhere. Now, when it comes to sustainable mobility, most the hot topic is EV. For anybody who can afford it, I think it is great because there's no tailpipe emissions and the technology is evolving. We'll circle back to that a little later. But I think how we define sustainability is also very important. For someone like me, who currently is not in a position to afford EV, uh, maybe can I make my drivers a little more efficient on their fuel consumption? Can they consume 10% lesser by shifting their gears in a certain pattern?
Mhm.
Can I optimize my schedules in such a way that my interaction with city traffic is lesser? Can I say each AC bus runs a 6 run AC? Can you play with the optimal temperature to reduce the fuel consumption? So we have to come out of this digital mindset ki only EV is sustainable. Every operation can be a little more sustainable than what it is if you play your levers right. So we've been working in terms of our scheduling, we've been working in terms of our driving behavior, sudden acceleration, sudden decelerations. We take a lot of OBD data, run our analytics on it, we rate our drivers, and when we rate our drivers, we also tell them why they got that specific rating and thereby how their incentive got affected.
Okay.
I think this is all sustainability. Sustainability at a fundamental level is, can you do something a little better than what you were doing yesterday? It could be fuel consumption, it could be the amount of water you use to wash your blankets, it could be anything, right?
Right.
So I think everybody should do their part to be sustainable. And we as an operator, and given the field I come from, I've stood for sustainability for like more than a decade in my previous entrepreneurial journey, right? So we do keep it at the center. Now, coming to the hot topic of EV, see, as an operator, I am technology agnostic. I want to run buses. I want to take people from A to B.
Right.
I don't really care whether it is an EV or an ICE. But as an operator and as an entrepreneur, I don't believe in burning money. Now, I can't buy an asset which is almost 2.5 times my current asset price, especially when the customer is not willing to pay the premium. See, to the customer, just because I run an EV bus, he is not going to, and because my asset cost is 2.5 times, he's not going to pay me 2,500 if my base price is 1,000 rupees.
But how does this economics works? Because we hear that in the longer run, in EV, obviously in terms of sustainability, it's there. But in terms of the unit price economics, people say EV is way better.
So, this is where we need to get into the detail, the attention. I mean, the detail, devil is in the detail, right?
Right.
What does an EV operation save you? If you look at unit economics, it provides you cheaper fuel. My cost to run a diesel bus on the diesel is 25 rupees per liter. I mean, 25 rupees per kilometer, assuming a mileage of 4. On an EV bus, if I'm taking third party charging, which is what most people take, my unit cost is around 13 rupees. So you're saving 12 rupees per kilometer on the unit cost.
Right.
That is your primary saving. The secondary saving is, thanks to the government's initiatives, right now EV operators don't pay either the state tax or the All India Tourist Permit. That is my second saving. Now, on the higher side, if you look at it, EV maintenance costs, I've seen contracts for real, is almost thrice of your uh, ICE bus in the current day. Vetted data, first-hand data, right? So that is something you pay additional. The upfront charging infra cost is also higher,
Okay.
right? So if you were to install, like say, 240 kilowatt fast charger, the charger is costing you around 20 lakh. The transformer and the substation setup at the charging yard will cost you around upward of 1 crore.
Right.
Now, are we factoring these costs? Forget all this. The base asset cost. A diesel bus will cost you 80 lakh. EV bus, as of now, costs you around 1.8 crore, which is almost 2.25 times the asset cost. How many operators have that kind of money? Having said this, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. There are companies who've raised money from green funds. It is important. And I will be the first one, when the price becomes attractive, I'll jump onto it.
And how far do you think we are from the stabilization?
What do you call complex situation? Right now, the moving parts are very high. For example, government is giving subsidy. Nitin Gadkari couple of days back said EV is now stable. I don't think they will need subsidies any further. Now, if you knock that off, and if as a EV bus operator has to pay AITP and state tax, then boss, the numbers are fundamentally different. Now, right now, you are getting subsidized power at 6 rupees. If you apply EV for a specific category, you get power at 6 rupees as against the domestic 9 rupees. Now, if that subsidy is gone, again, the numbers are fundamentally different. So, it is too early to comment. But as an operator, as Hybus, our stand is we are technology agnostic. We will run what makes money and gives a reliable experience to our customer.
What if you have to tell our customers, choose between EV or the regular buses? What do you think you want to tell them?
There are a lot of things that go into that decision, right? Having been in the sustainability space, if a customer can afford a greener alternative, they should, for all practical purposes. I have respect for people who are flag bearers in this industry. I have deep respect for them, right? See, my earlier stint was in organic farming. I opened Hyderabad's first organic store when people knew nothing about organic. We go through the struggle, right? So I have respect for people who are doing it. But right now it is not financially viable. And the day it is viable, I'll be the first person to jump onto it.
Interesting. So, coming to the topic of organic farming, as you were mentioning, uh, after doing your, masters in transportation from IIT, anybody would have either moved on to that corporate life or have the Hybus startup that you now have. But in between, there's a stint that you call organic farming. How did that happen?
We fail to look beyond numbers and what we have studied. Happened with me also. I mean, graduated out of IIT, landed a very good job, seeing very handsome money. But then somewhere the purpose calls you, or there's a void, especially if you naturally have an entrepreneurial instinct or naturally have a sense of solving some problem where you can see the problem. So for me, that was food.
Okay.
What do you call projections of where my health would go if I continue to do what I would do. So I think farming is a beautiful way of not cultivating the land but cultivating yourself.
Okay.
At least that has been my experience. I think people think they're growing vegetables or they're cultivating soil. No, soil cultivates you. It teaches you empathy, it teaches you patience. It is beautiful.
So, what is that one learning that you carry forward from your farming experience into your bus experience?
It's a lovely question. I think I should draw a very clear parallel. Say, I put a tomato seed today. Then I have to make sure that the seed is getting watered. Then I have to make sure when the plant is big enough that there is no fruit. I mean, there is no pest on it. Then I have to see if there is adequate amount of flowering on it. Then after the fruit comes, I have to protect it from insects. Then eventually the fruit is ready, and then I have to sell it in the market and make my money. This is insane amounts of patience at play.
And how do you think Abhibus has helped you here?
See, I think what I love about Abhibus especially is never have I heard a no. I might walk into Abhibus with the weirdest of problems and the weirdest of the wishes. I don't hear a no. They'll say, let me see data. They might say, okay, this you are seeing it wrongly. This is how we guide you as per our experience, which is a very heartening experience for a new operator like us. See, we are not legacy operators.
Right.
We are not second generation, third generation. We are people who are interested in this space, first generation entrepreneurs. So, a holding hand like that, a comforting voice helps a lot. So, people keep telling us, 3 mahina lagega for the root to stabilize. Don't worry. Yes, there will be burn, and you are not alone.
Hmm.
Let's try this. Have you tried that? See, you might not put money into my account, but that emotional support is more than money. I think for that we have gratitude.
So now taking this experience from Abhibus, what do you think is that message that you want to give out to the customers who are watching this video? Why do you think customers should choose Hybus?
We would never ever want to keep our customer in dark. When there are delays, we inform our customers. If there is a feedback, we always act on it. In fact, one of the comments that we always got on our first fleet was our pillow was hard. For the next fleets, we've changed our pillow. Uh, Whenever we get a customer complaint regarding a driver behavior, we take it very seriously. There have been cases where we have fired people. So, what do we want to tell our customer? We want to tell that we are very honest people trying to solve very basic problems. The bus leaving on time, women having a clean loo, right? Drivers who are being very uh, cordial to you. Basic asks, right? When
And how seriously do you think you take women's safety on board?
see, this is something I keep stressing again and again and again. When you are letting an unauthorized boarding due to the greed of your driver,
Hmm.
you are literally allowing an unknown animal into your vehicle. This is a guy who's cutting corner, paying 300 rupees for a 1,000 rupee ticket. This guy could do anything.
Right.
It is not about men, it is not about women, it is about passengers. Why would I want somebody whose credentials I don't know board my bus? I think if there is one single problem that we are trying to address on safety, it is to stop unauthorized boarding. I keep telling my drivers I will tolerate anything but not unauthorized boardings because it kills the entire customer experience. The bus gets delayed, passengers see some random people beside them,
Yeah.
right? We don't want that. So I think safety is of utmost concern, especially within the bus. And of course, during the driving, we do sensitize our drivers how to be better drivers. Yeah.
So, what is that one sustainability myth, according to you, that people should stop believing into?
Because they generally don't dig deeper. You look at organic cotton, maybe, and say, oh, this is very expensive. You look at an EV vehicle and say, this is very expensive. But I think sustainability shouldn't be about just purchase decisions. It is about how do you live on a day to day basis. Can you reduce the water that you use every day?
Mm.
Right? Doesn't cost any money at all. Can you go to a farmer and buy his produce on a weekend as against going to a mall? You'll spend the same amount and probably you'll spend lesser to buy it directly from the farm gate. Right?
Right.
Can you just cook at your home? Much, much more sustainable than you ordering and some guy burning fossil fuel to get it to your door in a plastic packet. So, sustainability is about the way you live on a day to day basis. It is not about carrying a certain brand, making a certain costly choice. It should be a way of life. It is about how do you become more and more minimalist by the day.
But I think, practically, given the pace of life that everybody is living right now, sustainability would probably be the last thing on most of the people's minds.
Unfortunately, all good things cost in life. And this is a very fundamental truth which most people ignore. All good things cost. For example, for me to buy a burger which is a junk is much, much cheaper than buying a good fruit, right? Apple a kilo would
Hmm.
probably is 250 rupees today. Any fruit for that matter, but I can get a burger at 45 rupees,
Right.
which is fried in seed oil.
Which is actually much more easily available than.
So good things take time, good things are costly, but I think as see even more so for each of us who are in corporate, what is your end goal in life? At some point you would want to say I have enough money, I want to have better life. Is this money worth beyond 50 if I don't have good health?
Right.
See, a lot of billionaires, if you ask them the question, would you be willing to part with 1 million for one more day added in your life? And if they're like at 60, 70, they'd probably trade probably 1 million, maybe 10 million just to add a couple of days of healthy life.
Right.
So somewhere we have to draw that line and say, I have enough. Now let me pursue the finer aspects of life. I think the ability to appreciate nature and art is a gift that will come as you evolve in life. Which is why if you see most of these accomplished people, where do they get their joy? They either get to go to locations which are very heavy in nature, or they pursue very fine art, music.
Right.
Those are beautiful things in life. You need to make time for them, even in a small way, to begin with. And if life permits, God is kind, things will fall in place.
So if Earth had a mood right now, what do you think it would be?
I think Earth would be laughing at us
And why?
because we for some godforsaken reason think that we will save the planet. But we should realize planet has been around for like some 4.5 billion years. We are hardly few thousand years old. So Earth knows how to wipe us out if we cross the line. So while we think we will hold placards, say no to plastic, once in a year we will celebrate Earth Day, once in a year we'll celebrate what do you call Environment Day, and then that day also hold plastic placards. What do you think Earth must be doing? It must be laughing at us. कि क्या बचपना है.
So if you have to unlearn one thing that society has taught you over the years, what would that thing be?
It would be my education because you go to school, you study well, get good marks, get good job, then buy a flat or a house on EMI, and you're sorted.
So I've recently seen Hybus, not that I've boarded it yet, but would love to. But I see pretty cool design, the color, the lights, everything is so good about it. What went behind? Why is it this? Why is it a very non-traditional kind of color that you've chosen?
So the experience of a bus customer starts with the sight of the bus, right? So when you look at certain colors, certain emotions get triggered. Obviously, the way you feel when you see a red is different from the way you feel when you see, say, a blue. Uh, so even within blue, we wanted a lighter blue, which would look a little cool. And if you see the logo, we did take a little bet, I would say. It's a very cool looking logo. We had concerns about legibility among the founding team itself, but then we said, let us try. And thankfully, it has been received very well. But not just that, right? See, even the lighting inside the bus, we wanted it to be warm and pleasant because people sleep. It's a sleeper, right? So you'll have to be pleasant. So these are things that come out well only when you pay attention to the detail,
Right.
right? Anything that is pleasant will make you feel better and safer. I think
Right.
that's what went into the design from an exterior perspective.
Right. So this was about the look and feel, but now let's talk about the game changer, the technology itself that has been used.
There are two major points that I try to address when I look at bus operations. One is safety, the other is efficiency. So, from a safety perspective, right now technology has evolved to a space where you have beautiful telematic setups, where you have dash cams which can give you forward collision warnings. There are driver monitoring systems which can talk about anything from drowsiness to smoking to fatigue. and we have a real-time alert system where if any of this is happening with the driver, we know that this is what is happening. Even usage of mobile phone while driving, we have cameras which can automatically detect it and tag it against a specific driver, because the face of the driver is also read through AI. So we have these systems, and luckily we could deploy some of these, and the results have been really good. And one thing that is very important for the operator is also driver exoneration. When there is a accident where the driver is not at fault. A lot of times, whenever there's an accident on the road, the bus operator or the driver is always at fault by default because it's a larger vehicle.
Right.
But where we've had cases where through our cameras, we could prove that the driver was not at fault because we have a camera which is continuously seeing what the driver is doing.
Is there a case that you can highlight for us?
There was one specific case on our Bangalore-Tirupati route where somebody who took a U-turn didn't cut the car well, and then he actually crashed into us and created a huge ruckus saying it was the driver's fault. We could immediately go back to the footage and show that through the forward camera, we could show that the driver has not changed his vision, neither has he handled the steering. That means he was going in his lane.
Right.
From the side camera, we could show that he was the one who took U-turn and then actually crashed into the bus.
Right.
So this means a lot because even for the driver, they know that we have their back.
I think it adds a lot of confidence to
Yes.
the drivers itself.
Yes. But more importantly, are we able to establish the truth? If the driver is at fault, I want him to be, appropriately addressed, right? What is more important for me as an operator is, am I aware of what is truth? And my metric is always, is the system helping me establish the truth?
Got it.
Because unless I know the truth, even mileage, I have a mechanism through which I know what is my mileage, right? Do I know the truth? For me to go and tell that, okay, driver A is better than driver B, this is the interventions that he has done to be better. Now driver B has to copy driver A based on these interventions.
Got it.
So this is where technology is helping.
Let's move on to the rapid fire round.
Sure.
So my question one for you. What do you prefer, sleeper or seater?
Sleeper any day. Better comfort.
Okay. And what do you think is most efficient, electric, hydrogen or hybrid?
At this point, I think it's hybrid.
Okay. What is the best time for bus operations? Is it day or is it night?
Nights are beautiful.
Okay. The next one, I need an instant answer. What is your biggest challenge, routes or maintenance?
Maintenance.
In passenger behavior, what has been the toughest aspect so far?
Loyalty is very hard. It's very price sensitive.
Okay. So, bus operations law, most underrated role.
Of the drivers. They work really hard. See, everybody says driver is bad, driver is this. But these are people who have families to feed, don't take offs on festivals. So I think it's the driver.
And what do you think is an ideal bus frequency in a perfect city?
I think in the good peak hour in the night, you should have at least every half an hour.
What is crucial for the smooth operations, tech or the people managing?
People managing.
If one city in India can run world-class buses, what city would you think it would be?
I'm biased towards Hyderabad, being a Hyderabadi, but I think Bangalore is a very good contender.
Okay. Given the infrastructure discussion about Bangalore, which happens time and again?
See, if you look at Bangalore, Chennai, the highway is getting ready. Bangalore, one of the routes we operate, the cart section is being readied.
So which is a bigger route for you right now? Is it the Hyderabad Vijayawada or something in Karnataka?
We are based out of Bangalore.
Okay.
So our objective is to scale out of Bangalore to begin with.
Describe Hybus in one word.
Truthful operator.
So my concluding question to you. Let's say if future India could hear you just for 10 seconds, what is it that you want to tell them?
The thing that you will regret most in life is not following your passion.
Well said.
I think that was 10 seconds.
So thank you very much, Abhinav, for agreeing to be on the show.
My pleasure. Keep up the great work and help operators like us to do bus travel better for the country at large.
Sure.